Alrighty. Well, kia ora koutou, ko Bronwyn Scott aho. E mihi ana hei kaupapa lead, ki tika, Digital Equity Coalition Aotearoa. We're here today to learn about this incredible taonga, OHI Data Navigator. So thank you all for being here, and let's kick off with karakia. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai, e hi aki ana te ata kura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei, mauri ora. Kia ora. So we're joined by Taase Vaoga, who, along with others, has been working really hard to get OHI Data Navigator live. Before I pass the rākau to Taase, the flow of the hui will be a bit of background, a tour of OHI, and then a chance to ask any pātai that you have. So if you have pātai as we chat, just pop them into the chat and we'll get to them before we finish up in about half an hour's time. Also, please know that this is being recorded and we'll share it out pretty soon. So, Taase, tell us a little bit about yourself and a bit about OHI and the whakapapa. So I know it's been around a little while and then went into hibernation. So yeah, tell us what it is about you, and let's get into that. Over to you, Taase.
O tēnā tātou, e mihi ana ki a koe, e Bronny, korua ko Māori, nā korua tēnei whakarite, nau Bronny e whakatuwhera tēnei wāhi mā tātou, tēnei ahiahi. Kia ora, ko Taase tōku ingoa, heri tēnei o Hāmua, o te tātukirau, no Ngāpuhi au, o te awatupa ara ko Wanganui. Anō, kei Ōtaki ahau e noho ana, he paikari mane ahau, nā reira, tēnā tātou. Kia ora, I'm Taase, and I whakapapa everywhere. I'm here in Ōtaki, and I am a contractor. I'm self-employed, have a couple of businesses that are really focused on supporting organisations thrive, essentially. And so some of that is around impact in narratives, so telling our impact stories and developing narratives for change. And that's really founded in the science of communication. So that's one taha. I have a long career in the not-for-profit sector, really focused in fundraising, comms, and marketing. And so really passionate about storytelling and amplifying the voices of the rangatahi in particular. So that's me. OHI Data Navigator is a data platform that was developed by Te Rauroa One Aotearoa Foundation, previously Vodafone Aotearoa Foundation. And they developed this tool that took government administrative data to look at how they might be able to track or identify need and track change over time for their own purposes. And when they developed the minimum viable product, they realised how beneficial it would be for the community, and so made it a tool that was available freely to anyone that wanted to use it under a kind of kaitiaki license, although not called that, but safe use practice, because it's underpinned by Māori data sovereignty principles and positive youth development model. So that's kind of a little bit of history. I'm going to share my screen now because it might help me move things quicker, just because we've got a little bit of time. So now OHI is in its kind of second iteration, and Te Rauroa has gifted OHI Data Navigator to a collective of organisations who now are known as OHI Impact. That's Child Poverty Action Group, Maya Centre for Social Impact and Education, and myself under my company Te Iarere, which means the flowing current. And so that's our kind of main kaupapa, and then OHI Data Navigator, which is a data tool for the community, and then OHI Education, which is about empowering communities to unlock the power of data. So as I mentioned, OHI is a tool that was developed by Te Roro. It was launched in 2021 and then took a bit of a hiatus when I actually left the lead role there in 2023 to pursue some other work, and now it's kind of come full circle back, and so really excited to be part of that. So basically, yeah, as I said, it's about putting the data in the hands of the community. We now have a 7-year view on the lived experiences of rangatahi, so data from 2018 to 2024. And then the data indicators right down to a community level. So statistical area 2, which is like a small mesh block defined by Stats NZ, that covers roughly a suburb or at least a few blocks, depending on the size of that suburb. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's in OHI Data Navigator. So as I said, like, it's a data tool, so the data comes from the integrated data infrastructure, and lets users quickly find data by filtering across multiple domains. So the level of exclusion and disadvantage experienced by rangatahi. So we've got a composite indicator in the tool, which gives you a high level view of what they might be experiencing. You can filter by age, ethnicity, location, and then you can see the data in multiple views, and we'll get to see that in a moment when I take you for a little bit of a tour. So you can see maps, there's charts for quick visual insights. You can generate a report in HTML format. And then there's, as I've talked about, those individual indicators down that gives you more granular data. For example, hospitalizations, NCA attainment levels, how many times you've frequency of moving house or school. And so all of those data points all contribute to the composite indicator of exclusion disadvantage, which we have in the navigator. And so with OHI Data Navigator, you can help build insights around a place-based or cohort insights. So at those different levels, territorial, regional, or statistical area 2 levels, and then cohort insights by using the filters by age, ethnicity, year, however you want to kind of group those, make a cohort. The inside OHI is indicators of wellbeing, exclusion, disadvantage. And the reason why I put wellbeing there, there's a little bit of data on wellbeing, but it's from 2013. But we know that the experiences of our rangatahi are a really good indicator of the wellbeing of our communities. And so we can build a story about what those experiences of wellbeing are by understanding the prevalence of exclusion and disadvantage. You can also use the data to demonstrate evidence-based need. And I know many people have used it in funding applications to say this is, what we actually need in our communities. Te Roro has a really good use case in our recent Taase Insights report about driver licensing attainment in Murihiku in Invercargill, showing over time how a targeted approach across multiple organisations and government agencies can improve the attainment of licensing and then reduce the number of offences for driving without a licence. for rangatahi, so really cool case study there of how you can actually use it. And then, of course, tracking change and impact over time. I think it's really exciting to have perhaps 7 years and counting of data that's made available to the community. So it's a very unique data set that provides a longitudinal view of the experiences of rangatahi and can help us track that change and shifts in what young people are experiencing over time. So I've just kind of jumped into the second part of, I think, what Bronnie was going to ask me. It's okay. Our future plans. So each year at the moment, we're planning to update in May to include the 2025 data from the integrated data infrastructure. We deliver services through our delivery partners who are at the minute, myself, my Centre for Social Justice and Education and Child Poverty Action Group, and we all provide slightly different services and skills that we bring to the table. We are developing tools for automated impact reports or drafting impact reports utilizing OHI data, but also your own user inputs. So it's a really exciting product that we would like to offer the community when it's available, well, hopefully. We are looking at what kind of data we can include in the in OHI Data Navigator, so particularly around wellbeing and digital equity, as this is quite a significant gap in what we know through the census or through the integrated data infrastructure about what people are experiencing in terms of these two domains, and they're such a critical part of the experiences of rangatahi. And then data education and advocacy. So things like this, having chats to people about how they can use the data and supporting people to do that. And the advocacy part is really about helping organisations, advocating to the government, SATS NZ, about how they can better utilise data. Also relationships with Social Investment Agency, and through our partners Nicholson Consulting, supporting the development of better definitions that underpin the integrated data infrastructure. And so there's quite a bit of work going on there, but also helping organisations to better collect data from those that they're supporting in the community, whether that is story or indicators that they've developed, and so that we can build better coherence across sectors and build up a community-led view of what our rangatahi are experiencing. The OHI model is a subscription model, so we only have individual subscriptions at the moment, so you can see the cost there. We, if there's organisations that want to get all of their teams access to OHI Data Navigator, then we can work on an individual basis to do that. But the subscriptions really will enable us to keep the data up to date, and hopefully with more and more data, there's more opportunity for you guys to gather insights about the community. That's my presentation. Oh yeah, actually, need to show you around, right? What time have we got? All right, we're gonna do, now I've lost where you guys are. Okay, there you are. Right, I'm gonna share my screen with OHI Data Navigator so you can see it. This is gonna be a speedy presentation because normally I would do this over, I don't know, I could spend all day talking about it really, but right. All right, so this is OHI Data Navigator, I won't even say new and improved version, but it's just the next iteration. We've updated our branding. The first thing, when you get into OHI Data Navigator, you come on this landing page, the home page. The data tab has all of the kind of definitions that underpin OHI Data Navigator, but also particularly shows you what the composite indicator means in terms of that disadvantage and exclusion. And then the dashboard is probably where most people go first thing, is to get a sense for what data is in there. So as you can see already, that there's like some maps and some bar graphs and different types of ways of demonstrating, showing the data. This is the first snapshot that you get. Oh, sorry. And you can interact with the map and click on a different region. At the moment, we're looking at it in the regional council thing, so the areas are quite large. But as I said, you can go down to territory authority and ward, or SA2. I'm not going to click on the SA2 because it's pulling a significant amount of data, and so it takes a little while for it to kick in. But you can click on a specific area and all of the data changes. So it gives you a high level, or it gives you the number of young people that live in the area, and then the prevalence of exclusion, disadvantage, experienced by rangatahi. Then it breaks it down by these three key domains that exist within OHI Data Navigator: care and protection, education and justice. So you can click on these and it will change the bar graph. As you can see on the side here, we've got the filters that you can pop in, and you can also generate a report. So there's 7 years of data, and then you can look at even the level of exclusion, just disadvantage experienced. Then there's just some kind of demographic information broken down by those experiences of exclusion and disadvantage, so you can kind of see who and where visually, where it's experienced most. And then down the bottom here we have the more granular data, which breaks down the experiences across these different areas. So shows you education, safety, all within those three domains of education and employment, care and protection, and justice. And the reason for that is because the research focused on looking at what protective and risk factors need to exist for rangatahi to, well, what protective factors need to exist for rangatahi to thrive, and what are the risk factors that put that at risk essentially. And these were the risk, it was very focused around the education, employment, care and protection, and justice. And so that's why these are kind of in there. You can see that there is some wellbeing data in here, which is really, really interesting data. It is from Te Kupinga, which is was conducted in 2013. So you'll see I've selected Wanganui above in the filter, but this wellbeing data relates to basically the central North Island. And so this won't change if I clicked on somewhere else in that area, because there just wasn't enough people. So you can't get it any more granular than that. So yeah, I'm just going to stop that there, and if anyone wants a deeper tour, I'm happy to do that at another point, but I'm going to leave it open for some Taase.
Yeah. Kia ora, thanks Taase. It's so good to see that data, and the fact that it focuses on rangatahi is just an incredible thing for us to use. Please pop your questions in the chat, and while that's happening, I can start us off with one. I'm really interested to hear, while you've been collating all this data, if you've seen any insights that have made you sit back and go, wow, or that have like that you felt in your soul, you know?
Yeah, I think when you kind of get down to drill down to the specific experiences around that rate of exclusion and disadvantage that young people are experiencing, that generally speaking, for those that aren't experiencing any exclusion or disadvantage, and that doesn't mean to say that they don't interact with some of those systems, it just by our definition, they're not defined as experiencing exclusion and disadvantage. That so the people that aren't, that rate kind of stays the same, but for young people who do experience some level of exclusion disadvantage, it only gets worse and more entrenched. And so what you'll see in some of the data is that was particularly for the serious exclusion disadvantage, is that it just like year on year the rōpū grows, and also there are even more interactions with those different systems. So with the definition to be defined as experiencing a serious level of exclusion disadvantage, you need to have interacted with 3 or more of the systems available, but have those indicators present. What we say is that it's far greater than that, and only gets worse year on year for those that are already experiencing exclusion disadvantage.
Yeah, wow. Thanks for talking to that. We have a question in the chat that's just popped up. What problems were organisations having before OHI that this solves best?
I think access to data, and it's probably related to your second question, Louis, is that all of the data essentially, aside from Te Kupenga, or it's already integrated into the integrated data infrastructure. So this is an IDI research project that so all of the data comes from there. But obviously that also includes some census data as well when you're looking at the demographics. We haven't yet been able to include other data sets, but it is on our purview. Like, we think that there is the OHI indicator, which demonstrates exclusion disadvantage, is only one thing, and I think alongside other indicators that I know people are developing out there, it can become really powerful. But also the data is only as powerful as the stories of the people for whom the data is about. And so, it's really important. In fact, this is answering all 3 questions. It's really important to talk, build connections with rangatahi. And so the tool itself, prior to even being developed, there was lots of rangatahi engagement with youth workers and other people working with young people to kind of get a sense for what it is that they need. And so, I think that access to data is a significant one. It's really difficult navigating the thousands of spreadsheets that are out there, generated by whoever, it doesn't matter who, government, researchers. Raw data is really hard to navigate when you do not have the skill set in-house to generate what you need. But also it's the data is collected by the government for their own means. And so we're manipulating data in a different way to make it more accessible to the community, but for the community to make sense of it, rather than from the view of the government. So there's lots of bias in the data that we have, and we know that, and we can, because of our commitment to Māori data governance and sovereignty frameworks, like the the whole process has been about gathering that community voice, because the data is only as powerful as the kōrero that sits behind it. And so that's one of the ways that it shows up. And also just acknowledging, some of the limitations of that within, if you think about whakapapa, like, well, this, is, there is Māori data in there, but it's also not controlled by Māori. So there's lots of kind of things that we've had to do where we're just got to go, we're doing the best that we can in the framework that we're given, and this is one thing. And so then the other things that we can do is by building data capability, advocating in data spaces, but also helping organizations collect their own data. Hope that kind of answers the 3 questions that you have there.
It definitely does, and thanks, Louis, for your partai. It also answers a few of the backup questions that I had as well, so that's even better. As we look to just finish this hui up, I want to ask you one final partai, and that's about just a key takeaway that you want people to know about OHI.
OHI is a really powerful tool, and it's only one part of the picture. And so, I think we've probably mostly got people that are maybe a little bit skilled in the room around data, or at least have a good sense for what they're looking for and stuff. And so, I think it is that story behind it, behind the data, and that the data also tells a story. And I think many people, in fact, so many people that I've interacted with over the years have want a really specific data point that just isn't collected. It's not even collected by them, but they're loaned by the government because, and so I think, our data tells a story, but our people also tell stories, and we can build some beautiful narratives around the experiences around our community that are really deeply embedded in manaakitanga and whakapapa, and those Māori data sovereignty principles and positive youth development models as well.
Kia ora. And for anybody wanting to learn more about OHI, there's a website.
Yep, I'll just put it's ohiimpact.nz.
Great.
Type the link in there.
Cool. Thanks, Taase. Really appreciate you sharing about OHI. I know that this is going to make a huge difference to everybody on the ground doing the hard mahi here. So thank you so much, and thanks to the collaborative team that have been behind this. Again, if anybody has any partai, the ohiimpact.nz is the place to find it. And with that, I will close us all out with a karakia. Kia whakaaria te tapu, kia wāti ai te ara, kia turuki whakataha ai, kia turuki whakataha ai. Humie, huie, tākie. Ka ki te whānau.
Tēnā tātou.